Welcome to the Bible Quiz and Trivia channel. Today, we're tackling 50 tough questions from the book of Numbers, testing your recall on everything from ancient rituals to pivotal moments in Israelite history. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like this video to support our content. After the quiz, share your score in the comments. We love seeing how well you do. Are you ready? Let's get started. Question 1. Who were the two spies that gave a positive report about the land of Canaan? A. Joshua and Caleb. B. Aaron and Hur. C. Nadab and Abihu. D. Eleazar and Ithamar. Answer. A. Joshua and Caleb. Joshua and Caleb were the only two spies among the 12 who returned with a positive report, confidently advocating for the Israelites to proceed and take the land, trusting in God's promise and protection. Their faith and courage are highlighted in Numbers 14-6-9. Question 2. What was the consequence for the Israelites after they believed the negative report of the 10 spies? A. Immediate entry into the promised land. B. Wandering in the desert for 40 years. C. Victory over Canaanite kings. D. A return to Egypt. Answer. B. Wandering in the desert for 40 years. Because of their lack of faith, evidenced by their acceptance of the 10 spies' fearful report, the Israelites were sentenced to wander in the desert for 40 years until an entire generation had passed away, ensuring that only those who trusted in God would enter the promised land. This punishment is described in Numbers 14:33-34. Question 3. How many times did Balaam's donkey speak to him? A. Once. B. Twice. C. 3 times. D. 4 times. Answer. C. 3 times. Balaam's donkey spoke to him 3 times, each time questioning why Balaam was beating her, eventually revealing that she saw an angel of the Lord blocking their path, which Balaam himself could not initially see. This miraculous event occurs in Numbers 22:28-33. Question 4. What was the name of the place where the Israelites complained about no water, leading Moses to strike the rock? A. Kadesh. B. Meribah. C. Sinai. D. Jogel. Answer. B. Meribah. Meribah is where the Israelites complained about the lack of water, prompting Moses to strike the rock to bring forth water as commanded by God. However, Moses' failure to honor God properly during this event led to his own exclusion from entering the promised land. This is recounted in Numbers 20:11-12. Question 5. How many days did the Israelites spy out the land of Canaan? A. 7 days. B. 12 days. C. 40 days. D. 50 days. Answer. C. 40 days. The Israelites spied out the land of Canaan for 40 days. This period symbolizes a time of testing and exploration, setting the stage for the events that followed their return and the people's reaction to their report, as noted in Numbers 13:25. Question 6. What was the punishment for the man caught gathering sticks on the Sabbath? A. He was fined. B. He was exiled. C. He was stoned to death. D. He was forgiven. Answer. C. He was stoned to death. The man caught gathering sticks on the Sabbath was stoned to death, following a direct command from the Lord. This severe punishment underscored the sanctity of the Sabbath, as recorded in Numbers 15:32-36. Question 7. What significant event occurred at Meribah? A. The tabernacle was constructed. B. Moses struck the rock to bring forth water. C. Aaron died. D. The covenant was renewed. Answer B. Moses struck the rock to bring forth water. At Meribah, Moses struck the rock to bring forth water to quench the thirst of the Israelites. This event is significant as it demonstrated God's provision, yet also highlighted Moses' disobedience, as detailed in Numbers 20:11. Question 8. Which tribe was not counted among the military census and why? A. Judah, because of their size. B. Levi, because they were designated for religious duties. C. Benjamin, due to their youth. D. Reuben, because of their rebellion. Answer B. Levi, because they were designated for religious duties. The tribe of Levi was not included in the military census because they were set apart for religious duties, serving in the tabernacle rather than taking part in combat. This distinction is made clear in Numbers 1:47-49. Question 9. What was the name of the leader of the tribe of Judah during the wilderness journey? A. Nahshon. B. Caleb. C. Phinehas. D. Eliezer. Answer A. Nahshon. Nahshon was the leader of the tribe of Judah during the wilderness journey, playing a key role in the census and organization of the camp, as recorded in Numbers 2-3. Question 10. How did God show his approval of Aaron's priesthood over the others? A. By a voice from heaven. B. By fire from the altar. C. By Aaron's rod budding. D. By a miraculous healing. Answer C. By Aaron's rod budding. God showed his approval of Aaron's priesthood by causing Aaron's rod to bud, blossom, and produce almonds overnight among the rods of the other tribal leaders, signifying his choice. This event is detailed in Numbers 17-8. Question 11. Who led a rebellion against Moses and Aaron, questioning their leadership? A. Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. B. Miriam and Aaron. C. The elders of Israel. D. The spies who gave a bad report. Answer A. Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Korah, along with Dathan and Abiram, led a rebellion against Moses and Aaron, challenging their authority and questioning the divine appointment of Aaron's priesthood. This revolt and its dire consequences are recounted in Numbers 16. Question 12. What happened to Korah and his followers as a result of their rebellion? A. They were exiled. B. The earth opened up and swallowed them. C. They were struck by lightning. D. They were forgiven after repentance. Answer B. The earth opened up and swallowed them. As a divine judgment against their rebellion, the earth opened up and swallowed Korah, Dathan, Abiram, and their families, an event that dramatically underscored the seriousness of their challenge to God's appointed leaders. This is described in Numbers 16:32-33. Question 13. How did the Israelites react immediately after the punishment of Korah and his followers? A. They repented. B. They rebelled further. C. They praised Moses. D. They fled in fear. Answer B. They rebelled further. Immediately after the punishment of Korah and his followers, the Israelite community rebelled further, blaming Moses and Aaron for the deaths, leading to a plague that resulted in more deaths until Aaron intervened. This further turmoil is covered in Numbers 16:41-49. Question 14. What offering did the leaders of each tribe bring for the dedication of the altar? A. Gold and silver vessels. B. Burnt offerings. C. Spices and oils. D. Each brought a covered wagon. Answer D. Each brought a covered wagon. For the dedication of the altar, The leaders of each tribe brought covered wagons and oxen, which were used for transporting the tabernacle. This collective offering is detailed in Numbers 7-3. Question 15. What did Moses do with the 12 staffs to determine God's chosen leader of the priests? A. He threw them into a fire. B. He placed them before the Ark of the Covenant. C. He broke them. D. He inscribed them with each tribe's name. Answer B. He placed them before the Ark of the Covenant. Moses placed the 12 staffs, one for each tribal leader, before the Ark of the Covenant to determine whom God had chosen. Aaron's rod, representing the tribe of Levi, miraculously budded, blossomed, and bore almonds, confirming God's choice. This miraculous sign is recounted in Numbers 17-7-8. Question 16. What was the outcome for Aaron's staff? A. It turned into a serpent. B. It caught fire. C. It budded, blossomed, and produced almonds. D. It broke in half. Answer C. It budded, blossomed, and produced almonds. Aaron's staff not only budded, but also blossomed and produced almonds overnight as a sign from God to confirm his chosen leadership among the tribes of Israel. This miraculous event demonstrated God's clear choice and is detailed in Numbers 17-8. Question 17. How many offerings did each leader bring for the dedication of the altar? A. 1 offering each day. B. 2 offerings each day. C. 12 offerings each. D. 1 offering from all leaders collectively. Answer A. 1 offering each day. Each leader brought offerings for 12 days, 1 liter per day, during the dedication of the altar. Each leader's offerings included silver plates, silver basins, gold pans, and offerings of bulls, rams, lambs, and goats, as described in Numbers 7. Question 18. What did God instruct Moses to make to heal those bitten by snakes? A. A bronze snake. B. A gold serpent. C. A silver rod. D. A wooden cross. Answer A. A bronze snake. God instructed Moses to make a bronze snake and set it on a pole. Anyone who was bitten could look at it and be healed. This symbol of divine healing is recorded in Numbers 21-8-9 and represents God's provision for deliverance from the consequences of sin. Question 19. What were the Israelites complaining about when God sent fiery serpents among them? A. The lack of water. B. The leadership of Moses and Aaron. C. The manna from heaven. D. The hardships of the journey. Answer C. The manna from heaven. The Israelites complained about the lack of variety in their food, specifically despising the manna provided by God. Their ingratitude and lack of faith led to God sending fiery serpents as a punishment, as mentioned in Numbers 21-5-6. Question 20. What was the name of the Moabite king who sought Balaam's help to curse Israel? A. Balak. B. Og. C. Sihon. D. Bashan. Answer A. Balak. King Balak of Moab, fearing the Israelites, sought the prophet Balaam to curse them. His actions and his dialogue with Balaam are extensively covered in Numbers 22-24. Question 21. What did Balaam see in his vision that made him realize he could not curse Israel? A. An angel with a drawn sword. B. A wall of fire. C. The glory of God covering Israel. D. A vast and strong army. Answer A. An angel with a drawn sword. Balaam saw an angel of the Lord standing in the road with a drawn sword, which made him realize he could not go against God's will to bless Israel, despite King Balak's requests. This vision, which initially only his donkey could see, is described in Numbers 22:31. Question 22. How many times did Balaam bless Israel instead of cursing them? A. 1. B. 2. C. 3. D. 4. Answer C. 3. Balaam ended up blessing Israel 3 times, each time uttering blessings instead of the curses that Balak had hoped for. These blessings are recorded in Numbers 24, and they significantly affirm God's protection and plans for Israel. Question 23. What was the test for an unfaithful wife in Numbers? A. She was isolated from the camp. B. She had to offer a sacrifice of atonement. C. She had to drink bitter water. D. She was subjected to trial by ordeal. Answer C. She'd had to drink bitter water. The test for an unfaithful wife involved her drinking bitter water that could bring a curse if she was guilty, known as the ordeal of the bitter water. This trial is detailed in Numbers 5:18-28, serving as a divine test of fidelity. Question 24. How did Moses and Eleazar deal with the Midianite captives and the spoils of war? A. They divided them among the soldiers. B. They burned all the spoils. C. They distributed everything equally among all tribes. D. They killed all captives. Answer A. They divided them among the soldiers. Moses and Eleazar followed God's commands to purify the captives and the spoils of war and then divide them among the soldiers, with portions set aside as an offering for the Lord. The detailed instructions for handling the spoils are provided in Numbers 31:25-54. Question 25. What was the special vow called that Israelites could take to dedicate themselves to the Lord? A. The vow of silence. B. The Nazarite vow. C. The covenant vow. D. The sacrificial vow. Answer B. The Nazarite vow. The Nazarite vow was a special act of dedication to the Lord, involving abstaining from wine, not cutting hair, and avoiding contact with dead bodies to remain ritually clean, as outlined in Numbers 6-121. Question 26. What were the conditions of the Nazarite vow? A. Fasting and praying daily. B. Offering expensive sacrifices. C. Abstaining from wine, cutting hair, and avoiding corpses. D. Remaining in the temple. Answer C. Abstaining from wine, cutting hair, and avoiding corpses. The conditions of the Nazarite vow included abstaining from wine and all products derived from grapes, not cutting the hair on one's head, and avoiding contact with dead bodies to maintain ritual purity, detailed in Numbers 6. Question 27. How was the camp of Israel arranged during their time in the wilderness? A. In a circular formation around the tabernacle. B. Each tribe in its own separate area far from the tabernacle. C. In a square formation with the tabernacle in the center. D. Randomly, without specific order. Answer C. In a square formation with the tabernacle in the center. The camp of Israel was arranged in a precise square formation with the tabernacle at the center. Each of the 12 tribes had a specific place around the tabernacle, reflecting their order and organization as specified in Numbers 2. Question 28. What was the signal for the camps to set out on their journey? A. A cloud lifting from the tabernacle. B. The sound of a trumpet. C. A fire signal at night. D. Moses' command. Answer: A. A cloud lifting from the tabernacle. The signal for the Israelite camps to set out was the lifting of the cloud from over the tabernacle. When the cloud lifted, they would journey onward. When it settled, they would camp. This divine guidance is detailed in Numbers 9:17-23. Question 29. What role did the Levites play in the tabernacle? A. They were the main soldiers. B. They provided musical accompaniment. C. They maintained and transported the tabernacle. D. They prepared daily sacrifices. Answer C. They maintained and transported the tabernacle. The Levites were assigned the duties of maintaining and transporting the tabernacle and its furnishings. Each family within the Levites had specific roles, ensuring that the sacred space was properly cared for during the Israelites' travels, as outlined in Numbers 1:50-53. Question 30. What was the specific duty of the Kohathites, Gershonites, and Merarites? A. Kohathites carried sacred objects, Gershonites dealt with curtains, Merarites handled frames. B. Kohathites prepared sacrifices, Gershonites sang psalms, Merarites secured the perimeter. C. All three groups offered sacrifices. D. All three groups were teachers of the law. Answer: A. Kohathites carried sacred objects, Gershonites dealt with curtains, Merarites handled frames. Specifically, the Kohathites were responsible for carrying the most sacred objects of the tabernacle. The Gershonites were tasked with transporting curtains and ropes, and the Merarites handled the frames and pillars. These roles ensured that each aspect of the tabernacle was carefully and respectfully managed during transport, as described in Numbers 4. Question 31. How was the land to be divided among the tribes of Israel? A. By drawing lots. B. Equally among all tribes. C. Based on tribe size. D. At Moses' discretion. Answer: A. By drawing lots. The land was to be divided among the tribes by drawing lots as commanded by God, ensuring a fair and divinely guided distribution. This method also accounted for the size of each tribe, as described in Numbers 26:55-56. Question 32. What provision was made for daughters in terms of inheritance? A. Daughters could inherit if there were no sons. B. Daughters could not inherit. C. Daughters inherited only movable property. D. Daughters inherited equally with sons. Answer: A. Daughters could inherit if there were no sons. The daughters of Zelophehad petitioned for and were granted the right to inherit their father's land because he had no sons, setting a precedent in Israelite law regarding female inheritance. This significant change is detailed in Numbers 27-111. Question 33. What festival is described in detail in Numbers and involves staying in booths? A. Passover. B. Feast of Booths. C. Day of Atonement. D. Feast of Weeks. Answer: B. Feast of Booths. The Feast of Booths, Sukkot, is detailed in Numbers 29:12-38, where the Israelites are commanded to live in booths for 7 days to commemorate the time they spent living in temporary shelters during their wilderness journey. Question 34. How were the offerings of the Israelites used in the tabernacle? A. For priestly garments. B. To feed the Levites. C. As burnt offerings to God. D. To maintain the structure. Answer C. As burnt offerings to God. The offerings brought by the Israelites were primarily used as burnt offerings in the tabernacle to atone for sins and to maintain a continuous act of worship, as God commanded for atonement and as a pleasing aroma to Him, outlined in Numbers 28. Question 35. What was the punishment for blasphemy in the book of Numbers? A. Exile from the camp. B. Stoning to death. C. Flogging. D. Imprisonment. Answer: B. Stoning to death. The punishment for blasphemy in the book of Numbers was stoning to death, as seen in the case of a man who blasphemed the name with a curse. This harsh punishment served to maintain holiness and reverence for God among the community, detailed in Numbers 15:35. Question 36. How was the guilt of jealousy between a man and his wife resolved? By the wife taking an oath. B. Through a trial by water. C. By priestly mediation. D. The husband could divorce her. Answer: B. Through a trial by water. The guilt of jealousy between a man and his wife was resolved through the ordeal of bitter water. If a husband was suspicious of his wife's fidelity, she had to undergo this trial, where the result would prove her innocence or guilt. This trial is detailed in Numbers 5:11-31. Question 37. What was unique about the census conducted in Numbers compared to other books? A. It included women and children. B. It was conducted by the priests. C. It only counted men over the age of 20. D. It included non-Israelites. Answer: C. It only counted men over the age of 20. The census in Numbers was unique because it specifically counted all the men aged 20 and above who were able to serve in Israel's army, focusing on the community's military capabilities as they prepared to enter the Promised Land, as stated in Numbers 1-2-3. Question 38. What tribe received cities instead of a land inheritance and why? A. Judah, due to its size. B. Dan, because of their skills. C. Levi, due to their priestly role. D. Benjamin, because of their loyalty. Answer: C. Levi, due to their priestly role. The tribe of Levi received cities to live in with their pasture lands instead of a share of the land because their role was to serve God and the community as priests. Therefore, they were supported by the tithes of the other tribes, as explained in Numbers 35-18. Question 39. How did Moses handle the request of the tribes of Gad and Reuben to settle east of the Jordan? A. He refused their request. B. He allowed it after they promised to help conquer the land west of Jordan. C. He ignored their request. D. He only allowed their women and children to settle. Answer: B. He allowed it after they promised to help conquer the land west of Jordan. Moses agreed to the request of the tribes of Gad and Reuben to settle east of the Jordan on the condition that their fighting men would first help the other tribes conquer the land west of the Jordan. This compromise ensured their participation in the communal responsibility, detailed in Numbers 32. Question 40. What did the daughters of Zelophehad petition Moses for, and what was the outcome? A. They petitioned for land inheritance rights and were granted them. B. They requested a change in leadership. C. They asked for exemption from military duties. D. They sought permission to marry outside their tribe. Answer: A. They petitioned for land inheritance rights and were granted them. The daughters of Zelophehad petitioned Moses for the right to inherit their father's land, as he had died without male heirs. Moses brought their case before God, who affirmed their right to inherit, thus setting a legal precedent for inheritance rights for women in similar situations, as recorded in Numbers 27-17. Question 41. How did God instruct the Israelites to purify themselves and their spoils after battle? A. By washing in water. B. By offering sacrifices. C. By passing them through fire and water. D. By fasting and praying. Answer: C. By passing them through fire and water. God instructed that the people and the spoils that could withstand fire be purified by passing through fire. Then both the fire-purified items and those not passed through fire be further purified with water. This dual process was meant to cleanse both the physical and spiritual impurities from warfare, as outlined in Numbers 31:21-24. Question 42. What was the role of the red heifer in the purification rituals? A. It was offered as a sin offering for the high priest. B. Its ashes were used to purify people from ritual impurity. C. It was sacrificed to mark the end of a plague. D. Its blood was used to anoint kings. Answer: B. Its ashes were used to purify people from ritual impurity. The red heifer was sacrificed, and its ashes were mixed with water to create a purification solution for those who had become ritually unclean, particularly through contact with a dead body. This unique sacrifice is detailed in Numbers 19-110 and symbolizes deep cleansing from sin. Question 43. What was Moses' response when he was barred from entering the Promised Land? A. He protested to God. B. He accepted the decision without complaint. C. He appointed Joshua as his successor. D. He led a rebellion. Answer: B. He accepted the decision without complaint. Moses accepted God's decision that he would not enter the Promised Land due to his disobedience at Meribah with humility and grace, focusing instead on ensuring the smooth transition of leadership to Joshua as God commanded. This acceptance is implicit in his actions following the decree, detailed across several passages in Numbers. Question 44. Who was appointed as Moses' successor? A. Aaron. B. Caleb. C. Joshua. D. Eliezer. Answer: C. Joshua. Joshua was appointed by Moses as his successor after God's instruction. Joshua was to lead the Israelites into the Promised Land, an appointment that signified a continuation of faithful leadership, as described in Numbers 27:18-23. Question 45. What was the purpose of the cities of refuge as described in Numbers? A. To serve as military garrisons. B. To act as places for trade and commerce. C. To provide asylum for accidental manslayers. D. To house the priests and Levites. Answer: C. To provide asylum for accidental manslayers. The cities of refuge were designated to provide asylum for individuals who had committed manslaughter unintentionally. They could flee to these cities for protection from the avenger of blood until a fair trial could be held, as laid out in Numbers 35:11-28. Question 46. How did the census at the beginning of Numbers compare to the census at the end? A. There were more people at the beginning. B. There were fewer people at the end. C. The numbers were approximately the same. D. The second census included women and children. Answer: C. The numbers were approximately the same. The first and second censuses recorded in Numbers show that the total number of men able to fight in Israel's army remained approximately the same, demonstrating God's preservation of the people despite the wilderness journey. This stability is discussed in Numbers 1:26. Question 47. What was the significance of the bronze serpent? A. It was a symbol of God's judgment. B. It was used to cure snake bites. C. It represented Moses' authority. D. It was a test of faith. Answer: B. It was used to cure snake bites. The bronze serpent was made by Moses as a means for the Israelites to be healed from the bites of fiery serpents. Those who looked at the bronze serpent in faith were healed, symbolizing God's provision for salvation and healing, as mentioned in Numbers 21-8-9. Question 48. How did the Israelites acquire water from the rock at Meribah? Moses spoke to the rock. B. Moses struck the rock twice. C. The rock split naturally. D. Aaron prayed over the rock. Answer B. Moses struck the rock twice. At Meribah, Moses was instructed to speak to the rock to bring forth water, but instead, he struck the rock twice with his staff out of frustration, which led to water gushing out, but also resulted in God barring him from entering the promised land due to his disobedience. This event is described in Numbers 20:11. Question 49. What were the boundaries of the land as described in the closing chapters of Numbers? A. From the river Nile to the Euphrates. B. From the desert of Zin to Mount Hor. C. From the Great Sea to the river Jordan. D. From Lebanon to the wilderness of Sinai. Answer C. From the Great Sea to the river Jordan. The boundaries of the Promised Land as outlined in Numbers were from the Great Sea, Mediterranean Sea, to the river Jordan, encompassing the lands that the Israelites were to conquer and settle, as detailed in Numbers 34-6-12. Question 50. How did God affirm his covenant with the Levites regarding their inheritance? A. By giving them the largest portion of land. B. By exempting them from military duties. C. By assigning them tithes as their inheritance. D. By making them the rulers of Israel. Answer C. By assigning them tithes as their inheritance. God affirmed his covenant with the Levites by assigning them the tithes from the Israelites as their inheritance instead of land. This provision ensured their needs were met while they served in religious capacities, as their focus was on spiritual duties rather than agricultural or territorial management, as explained in Numbers 18:21-24.